Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy Award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey, this is Pam Perry, and thank you for joining us today. I'm excited because I have a young lady on here. Her name is Dominique Clark, who is a two-time Emmy Award-winning TV personality. She's doing all kind of great things in the world, and I am glad to have her on. I think I met Dominique on Clubhouse.
That's right.
We met Clubhouse. So I haven't been on Clubhouse that long, but I was like, I like this Clubhouse, and I really liked her spirit. So I wanted her to come on the show today to really talk about her company, which is called BenWorthy, benworthy.com. And it is she'll give you the backstory about how that really came about. But I want to read the formal bio first. She's a digital marketing strategist, journalist, like I said, TV host and speaker, hailing from North Carolina. I guess it's probably in the area of Raleigh, Durham, or is it more near Charlotte?
Charlotte. I did live in the Raleigh, Durham area, but now I'm in the Charlotte area.
So she's hailing from the Charlotte area. So she is also a multi-talented relationship expert, author, media personality, host with years of experience empowering influencers and professionals across the country with intentional dating and building purposeful relationships. Known for her signature self-worth first approach in matching and coaching her clients, Dominique has been the rediscovery coach for both adult and young adult women. Rediscovery of self, rediscovery of self-worth, and rediscovery of love. She has been seen in the CW, SHEEN Magazine, Washington Post, the Huffington Post, to name a few, and she's contributed her expertise to TV programs and networks such as WeTV. After the release of her best-selling book, I want you to make sure you get it, She's Valuable, But Does She Know It? And leading talks across the country, Dominique gained notoriety as a public speaker and a must-have keynote for women audiences. I love this. Dominique has worked on camera and hosted celebrity red carpet interviews and outlets for NAACP Images Awards, American Black Film Festival, SHEEN Magazine Kimmy Awards, BOSSIP BET Awards, Essence Music Festival. Her career in media took off when she became the #1 Friday night radio host at the Sensation Station Network of her own show, No Strings Attached. And I want to say a little tidbit. You're married.
I am.
And how long have you dated your husband?
We've been together since 16.
I can't believe that. I read that. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So she's a relationship expert. I mean, she's figured this thing out, you know.
You'll be celebrating 12 years of marriage.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. And so the thing about it, we're going to get into the media really quick. I celebrated 26 years yesterday with my husband.
Congratulations.
I didn't meet him till I was 30, and we got married when I was 35, had our daughter at 36.
Wow.
I would not advise that whole thing. But, during the 20s, I had a tremendous time just trying to find the right dude. I was like, oh my God, and then building my career, whatever. So, but what I find is that if you marry someone, say, if I did marry someone that in my 20s, or God forbid, I had married my prom date, I changed so much from them, looking at them now, that there's no way we would have ever made it. So give us a little bit of a secret about meeting someone as a teenager, because it can happen. You could get married, young, and then stay married. That's like, hey, my parents were married like almost 60 years. And so Mark's parents married 70 years. So give us an example of what it takes to really meet someone and stay with that person and stay in love with that person.
Yeah.
And like with that person.
Well, first, to your point about, you knowing that you would not fit well with the person you went to prom with, or even someone you dated in your early 20s, is so important, because we evolve so much. I am not the same woman I am, or I was at 16. I'm not the same woman I was at 20 or 30. You know, I'll be 35 this year. And so I've evolved so much over the years, and so has my husband as he's grown into the man that God has called him to be. And so what was important for both of us through this journey was to allow each other to evolve into who God called us to be individually, and see how that worked collectively as a couple, as parents, you know, as husband and wife. But the secret that I will give you is will and desire.
Yes.
That's what's kept us, having the will and desire. Love is not enough. We know that. And love has always been there. But you got to be able to take that a step further, right? There has to be something more to keep you with someone, especially since 16.
Right.
You know, so we both had the will and desire to be there. And because of that, we were able to work through, we were able to support each other as we were, you know, evolving and as individuals. We were able to embrace each other's flaws as we made mistakes, because we are trying to figure this thing out. We were learning who we were individually as we were learning how to be together in a relationship. Neither one of us both of us came from divorced homes, you know, so neither one of us had a blueprint on how to do this thing, but we decided that this is where we wanted to be. God was all up in it. You know, Jesus is my best friend. And so we had great spiritual counselors and mentors that helped us along the way in our marriage and understand what marriage was, what we were actually entering into. You know, when we started our marriage counseling, I was so terrified because we got married at 22. And I'm like, I was a junior in college, I think it was. And I'm like, I don't even know who I am, but you know, my pastor wanted us to do things right. And we were thinking about moving in together. And, you know, of course we didn't have to do that, but we knew we wanted to be with each other. We knew that we wanted to do this thing right. We knew that we wanted to be a positive example, because not by choice, but people looked up to us. They inspired our relationship. And so we figured if we were going to fill the shoes of, you know, inspiring others in relationships and taking that on, we wanted to make sure that we did it right. We did it respectfully. We did it authentically. We did it with God every step of the way. And so will and desire, I would say, is the number one thing.
That is. But even before that, though, Dominique, you said God was in it.
Yes.
That is so key. That is first with people go through marriage counseling with their pastor, but they kind of do it as like, oh, that's a prerequisite. But no, this was really like the main thing. This was serious. This was for real.
Yeah.
So that is
beyond the counseling room for us. If we had a question, we could call or text our pastor and say, hey, you know, this is what we're experiencing. Help us, you know, navigate through this. So, you know, we were able to have someone actively walking with us through this, especially as young people, you know, trying to figure it out without the blueprint. And that was so key and vital to the success of our relationship.
That is so good. That is so good. So one of the things you have a passion for is really helping young women through this process too. And so tell us how you made, I guess, the pivot, not really the pivot, but more or less like from the media, you know, you're working in the media, and then really now Ben Worthy is like where you are now. But give us I guess it's almost like your calling in a way, you know, it's like I've had a couple of friends that were in a career and they thought this would be like the thing, you know, you hit the pinnacle, maybe like this is where the dream is, you know, I'm covering the red carpet events and this. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you're going to do this. So give us that evolution of how things happen for you in terms of your media career and where you are now.
Yeah, so I've had to pivot quite a bit. You know, when we talk about purpose, when we think about purpose, we have to realize that it's not straight and narrow. It's convoluted, right? It's very convoluted. And so my background is actually in medicine. I have a degree in biology. I was pre-med. I was actually supposed to go to medical school. I lived in the Raleigh-Durham area at the time. And so I was doing research at Duke University. Great job, great benefits. Been groomed. I went to a high school and it was in a pre-medical program in high school. All the things to prepare me to have a successful career in medicine. But while I was working in research, I got pregnant with my first daughter I have two, Zoe and Zara. My oldest is 8. I was pregnant with her. And I said to myself, I knew something was missing, right? But I didn't have a plan B because I never allowed myself to explore the other gifts and passions that God had given me. It was just medicine, medicine, medicine. But I knew something was missing, and I knew God was calling me for more or just something different. And while I was pregnant, I said, there's no way I can birth this girl and empower her to be the woman God created her to be, to walk in purpose, if I wasn't doing it myself. And so at that moment, I was like, I got to figure it out. I need some quiet time with God. I need to not worry about disappointing people, because my mother, as a single mother, did everything that she could so that I could be successful in medicine. I told her at 6 years old, I wanted to be a pediatrician. She had me write it on the refrigerator and didn't let me write it, okay? I was going to be the first doctor in our family. Like, it was a big deal.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to, prepare myself for the conversation I was going to have with my mother after sending me to Hampton University to study biology, after investing in me for all of these years, to tell her that, hey, I think God is calling me to do something different, but I don't know what that different is. Support me. And so while I was at Duke trying to figure this thing out, I was surrounded by all of these amazing medical professionals, doctors, fellows, PhD, incredibly smart academically, right? Obviously, but they personally, socially, they sucked. They sucked at love. They had a hard time connecting with people.
Relationships.
Yes. And so they turned to me, and to my surprise, I was able to help them connect with other people. I was helping them create online dating profiles. I was matching them with each other. Now, this was before I really knew, the relationship industry was a profitable industry, and it was you could make a career out of it. At the time, the Millionaire Matchmaker was on TV. And so that's all I knew, right? That's all I had to go by. But
let me stop you real quick. There was I had a part-time job. I can't remember when, but it was a part-time job that I had, was matchmaker. It was Great Expectations. That was a side job I had. And you talk about, you didn't know that was an industry. They were a multi-million-dollar company. And basically my job was a part-time. I would call people in the evening, and I would say, I have someone that's a match for you, whatever. And, and I would say, we have someone that's a match for you. Would you like to meet? I forgot what it was, but I was like, and they would pay like a lot of money.
Thousands.
I could not believe it. I think I was 20 something years old, and I was like, this is a real interesting type of career, So anyway, go on. I love that. That's a knack you had.
Yeah. And so I decided to do some research, because they started referring me to their friends, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not even I don't have a business, I don't have a process. And honestly, I started spending more time doing that work than I was doing the work that I was hired to do. And so I had to make a decision. I decided to get certified as a matchmaker and relationship coach. Mentorship is really big. I sought mentorship from the #1 African-American matchmaker in the country at the time, Paul Carrick Brunson.
Yes. I met him. He's a great speaker. I've met him a couple of times. Paul, I was going to ask you, I could not remember his name. Paul Brunson. I think he's in London now, or overseas. I can't remember.
He's moved back from London.
Okay, good.
He's not back in the DC area, but he actually wrote the foreword to my book, She's Valuable, But Does She Know It? Yeah. Yes. So Paul, the great guy, I worked with his agency for some time to kind of learn, because I wanted to learn how to scale a matchmaking business. I wanted to learn how to serve the community. We shared the same interest in serving the African-American community. And I wanted to learn how to build a business, build a matchmaking business. So he took me under his wing.
Wow.
Amazing experience. After that, I decided I'm quitting my job. I am going to do this matchmaking and relationship coaching thing full time. I went on to get my MBA, and he actually was the reason why I got my MBA too. He was sitting on the board of the school that I got it from. He said, Dominique, this is a great opportunity. So anyway, I did that through him, and started my business. And I ran that business full time for 8 years. Wow. And I worked with incredible singles all over the country, coached them, matched them, all the things. And it was wonderful. But the connection to media. As a relationship expert, especially as an African-American woman in the matchmaking industry, there were a lot of media opportunities, people who wanted me to share my expertise, give advice. I was a contributor to my local TV network, and I was a monthly contributor giving relationship advice. I was always in the paper and, giving advice in magazines, and I thought, this is great. And so I became a relationship columnist for SHEEN Magazine.
Yeah.
I was an exclusive relationship columnist at the time, and they had put out a call for media correspondence. Now, at the time, I was also actively doing my radio show. After publishing She's Valuable, But Does She Know It?, the publisher of my book was like, hey, girl, you have a great message here. You should take this to radio. She was working with a radio station in Atlanta, and I said, okay, well, why not? I pitched the show to the network. They loved the show idea. The show took off. Every week I had 2 to 3 different celebrities on the show. And you can imagine Atlanta is a great hub because people are always on press runs coming through Atlanta and stuff like that. So it's easy for me to grab celebrity talent to come on the show. No strings attached with the name of the show. And I was commuting from Atlanta, from Charlotte to Atlanta every Friday for a year to do this show.
What?
You can imagine.
Oh my goodness. And you were married with 2 kids.
Yeah, this time I had 2. I had 2 kids at the time.
That's commitment, and that's a passion. That's a calling.
Well, when I got on the mic, no lie, it was the perfect collision of passion and personality and purpose. It was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I felt so alive. Every guest I had on was like, wow, have you been doing this for years? And I'm like, no, this is actually my first go at it, but it came so natural to me. And that's how you know when you're in your alignment with God. It's ease. It's often met with spontaneity sometimes. Sometimes it's not something that you have, planned and researched and, spent all this time trying to develop. No, when God is ready to move and put you in a space, it can happen overnight. And he'll show you, like I said, in an instance, that this is what I created you to do. And luckily, because of the experience I had speaking on television and already kind of interviewing talent and things like that, I was ready so I could meet the moment. But that radio show got exhausting. I couldn't keep doing the commuting.
Yeah, that was a big commute.
Yeah, it was a lot. And so at that time, SHEEN was like, hey, we're looking for media correspondents. And I dropped the show and I said, you know what? It's probably the same thing. I'm just not behind a mic. Well, so to say, I'm not sitting, in a radio station. I'd be on a carpet or at a live event. And they took me on. And that was the start of me being, that was the start of my journalism career.
Right.
And it kind of just took off from there. I started hosting all the biggest red carpets you can think of. I've been on, and I've interviewed amazing talent, your favorite celebrities, events, hosting award shows and things like that. And when I tell you, it is just, one, God is so amazing like this. It's so different from medicine.
I was just thinking like, okay, this is the person that started at 6 years old saying, I wanted to be a pediatrician, to now it's like you went into a fish in water and just started to flow into a whole area where people who have gone to journalism schools for many years, get master's degree in journalism, do not have those opportunities just handed to them.
No,
that is God.
Nothing but God. And I still to this day, I stand amazed because it didn't have to be me. Like you just said, that's not my background. I didn't study journalism, but I'm a people person and I'm naturally curious. And I know how to quickly build rapport with someone. I'm able to humanize these celebrities in such a way, in a positive way. And I'm able to tell compelling stories, whether it's through my writing or on camera. And that was something that came natural to me initially, but I've worked on over the years to kind of, sharpen that craft. And that's something you can't really teach people all the time. And I recognize that. And I'm like, all right, God, I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to honor this gift that you gave me, and I'm going to take it as far as I can.
That is good. And so benworthy.com, that now is with the other pivot, because you had the pivot or epiphany that, I'm really good at this. And And but really though, Dominique, the main thing was the commitment to your purpose and the commitment with the passion within it. It was not many people said, well, we're going to give you a radio show, but you're going to have to drive down, 3 hours one way every week for a year.
You're going to have to drive. You're going to have to find and book your own talent. You're going to have to write the content for your own shows, and then you're going to have to deliver it. I had no experience in this, but I did it by the grace of God. I'm communicating with talent. Right? I learned quickly that it wasn't the talent that you needed to build a relationship with. It was their team. It was their representation. It was their publicist. I started building relationships with publicists and booking their talent on a brand new show, that didn't have an audience at first. But God, again.
That is good. And then the book, when did the book come? It was the book came first and then the show.
Yes.
And then the show then became like the whole media thing. So I always tell a lot of speakers and things like that, like building a brand, especially in Ready, Set, Go, Speak. It's like, is a book necessary? Probably not necessary. There's different things for everybody. Yeah. But if you are an expert, you need to have that authority of the book, because the word author is in authority. So that really is the main pivot. And it's like, why can't you get that? It's like, you can't just show up and just say, I'm an expert at this, write a book about it. And then you had the radio show. Like you said, when you got on the mic, you were like, wow, this is great, because you were really sharing that information. And so the same thing with, you were working with Paul, you had a mentor. And I always tell people in Ready, Set, Go, Speak, if you're a speaker, whatever, it's like, get a mentor, get a coach, get something that will help you, because you can't navigate this by yourself. And making sure, I always tell people in the Ready, Set, Go, Speak, it's like the formula, like the ready phase, the set phase, the go phase, and the speak phase. I said, but the ready phase, I said, one of the main things you want to do is make sure, determine your level of commitment.
Yes.
How thick is your skin? When it doesn't go like what you thought it was going to go, are you going to just keep pushing through? Or are you going to give up? I said, so determine what you're going to invest in terms of time and in money.
Yes.
Okay? You got to invest both.
Part of this too.
Yes. Going to get a master's degree costs money as well as time. To get an MBA.
I will say this, because of my good old friend Paul, I actually got a full ride to get this. But here again, there was a commitment, because it wasn't in my backyard. Guess what I had to do while pregnant with my second child? I had to drive to DC every Saturday morning. So I had to leave Durham. At the time I was living in Durham, leave my house at 4:30, and I wasn't alone, because my mom is just the superhero of my life. She's like, my husband worked in retail at the time, so weekends were not, he was booked. So my mom's like, I'm driving you every weekend to make sure that you see this thing through.
Wow.
We got in the car at 4:30 a.m. I got into class in time by 8:30 a.m. I was there until 5 p.m. Sometimes we would drive straight back. My family and in the area, sometimes I'd stay overnight with family. Sometimes we get a hotel. But there are sacrifices that everybody is not willing to make. And it separates those who stay here and those who go here. Yes. And I recognize that at a very early age. My mom, my father, they're both entrepreneurs. In the car growing up, I wasn't listening to the radio. I was listening to Les Brown. I was listening to Joyce Meyer. This is the stuff. And it annoyed me at the time. I was so embarrassed. And, the carpool line trying to roll the window up because I didn't want my friends to hear that. But it laid the foundation. It helped build my mindset. It helped build my, it really instilled ambition in me, the belief that I could do something if I worked hard for it and showed up for it. It gave me the ability to develop, like you said, when stuff gets hard, I'm able to keep going because these messages are playing in my mind. And so
that is so important.
But it's free. That's all I have to do. I'm there. I can do that. Because I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking the end goal, and so.
That is so, because Joyce Meyer is one of those people where she started a relationship People don't realize that she was married before she married Dave. She was
Mhm.
married and she was in a relationship that was abusive.
That's right.
And then she was abused before she even got in that relationship. I mean, just the whole, she tells the story over and over again. But when you really think about it, it's like, this is a really amazing story. This woman goes, and I've gone to see her twice now, she packs out stadiums, and she's just a flat-footed woman, comes out there, tells her story, and it's just powerful. And your tears, it's like, what is this? But it is those messages over and over again. And I remember my daughter's the same thing. She would be listening to like Creflo Dollar. A lot of them were my clients.
Yes.
They were like my clients, but she would be listening to them as growing up, and she just believes that she could do anything. And so when I kind of look at her now, she's 3 years out of college. She's never been like without of a job. I mean, a lot of her friends were like struggling to get a job and that sort of thing, but she just was like, I believe I'm going to do it. I said, you need help? Nope, I got it. Like 2 weeks after she graduated from Michigan State, she's got her first job in digital marketing. Then she's like, I want to get a new job 2 years later that she's got a job at the ad agency. And a lot of her other friends are like, I don't know what I want to do, but she's been so purpose driven and just really listened to those. I think it's those messages that she was listening to. Like you said, she was annoyed, but she listens to them. Oh my goodness. So you know what? The sun is going down. I see that.
I was going to say, do you mind if I just adjust my blinds really quick? You can see my face? I'm so sorry.
I saw the sun go down, and I've had that type of interview before where I was talking with someone and then completely it goes down. I mean, it was like totally dark on them. I was like, okay. I said, I think we're pretty much, but the conversation is just so good because
there we go.
Yes, that's perfect. That is perfect. The conversation is just so good. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let you go. But then I was like, I think the sun is going down now. Daylight savings time. That's what we got to get used to it. But one of the things that the main thing out of this about media that I want people to know about, get out there and get known, that it does take a passion, and it does take time, and it takes a commitment. But beyond all that, you had grace and ease in every phase because of what you felt. You were being led. You're being led to do certain things. So grace and ease was coming along where it was like, okay, well, something doesn't feel quite right. At this point, you're pregnant with your first child. And then it's like, well, if I'm going to raise this daughter, I have to let her know that you've got to have purpose and you've got to have that desire. And that whole relationship things that come easy to you are what you should be doing. I mean, that's what God put us here for. It's like, these are the biggest clues. Stuff that's easy for you, do that and do that well and keep building on it. Find a mentor that will help you grow in that. And so, being on celebrity red carpets and that sort of thing, really building your brand as well. So explain what Ben Worthy is and where I heard it on Clubhouse. So kind of talk about the how the name came about, because that's a good story.
Yeah. So Ben Worthy, I am a worthiness enthusiast, as you can tell from the book that I wrote. She's valuable, but does she know it? I was the girl who didn't know, right? That I was valuable, that I was enough, that I mattered. And so I have a personal connection to this, right? And so it's not just a cute phrase. It's not just something that looks good on a mug or on a t-shirt. No, this is real life. And I think the thing that, makes people gravitate towards it is because it's a shared endeavor. We've all, as women specifically, struggled with the idea at some point in our life, in some way, if we were worthy, right? We can all relate to that. We all have an emotional story that we can share about that. So, I wanted to take my enthusiasm for empowering women to recognize that not only are you worthy of all the things that love and life have to offer, but you've been worthy, and start moving accordingly. And then as a freelance journalist, contributing to all these amazing platforms and publications, sometimes pitching a story, it doesn't get picked up. Or sometimes you really want to be the one on the red carpet for this event, but you're not the only correspondent that this publication is working with. And so I decided, as I've done many times in the past, I wanted to create something of my own that was personal to me, right? That had a message, a positive message that I wanted to share and reach to women. And so Ben Worthy it's an attitude. It's a posture. It's the affirmation you didn't know you needed, right? And so I really want to empower women to know that they're worthy through media, right? Through the stories that I'm telling, through the women that they get to hear me interview, right? And really get inspired through the things that they've overcome. And what I even love most about the interviews that I'm doing with Ben Worthy is that even the women that I'm interviewing, as they're telling their stories, sometimes it's their first time saying these things out loud and seeing the aha moments they're having, right? And the revelations that they're having by just releasing, this story and putting it out there. It's so beautiful. Ben Worthy is the intersection of feminism, self-worth, authenticity, and entertainment for the woman of color. And we cover global stories in entertainment, news, beauty, and wellness. And I am so excited about it. It's a new platform. It launched on March 8th, which was International Women's Day. The perfect day to really put this out there and celebrate every melanated hue. But this is a platform for women of color and Black women to shine. It's for them to know that, hey, your story is newsworthy and I want to share it. So you're going to hear everything from what Beyonce has going on, but you're also going to hear what the amazing woman in your community is doing around the block whose story has gone untold, right?
So say someone like Dr. Renee Allen,
Right.
She could be someone that, is not a household name like Beyonce, but she is one of those type of people that in Ben Worthy you could feature.
Yes.
I love that. Do you take correspondence or is it all the content driven by you? How is it curated?
So here's what I say about God ideas. You got good ideas and you got God ideas.
Right.
God ideas.
God idea.
Yeah, this is a God idea. So in my opinion, this is bigger than me, right? It's going to require more than me to get this thing out there and for it to have the impact that I feel like God is telling me that it's going to have. And so I've got writers. I'm looking for more writers. So if you're a writer, you're interested in sharing stories, compelling stories, if you're even interested in interviewing and connecting with talent and learning how to curate conversation with celebrity talent, this is a great platform to learn how to do that. I have social media interns who are helping me with social media. I can't do it by myself, and I don't want to do it by myself because for me, this is also growth for me, right? I'm learning how to delegate in all the best ways. I'm creating opportunities for people who are looking for them, who have a voice, who have a story to tell, and haven't had the opportunity, to do that. And so, so I'm looking for correspondence. I have writers. I have interns that are a part of my staff. I'm building this incredible team who share in the same excitement that I have about the mission and purpose of Ben Worthy. And so it's been a beautiful experience thus far.
I love that. Dominique, one of the things that benworthy.com, I want people to go. It looks so good. I want to just quickly, if I can, share the screen really quick so that people can see it. And it looks like it's been here for like years. Okay. It looks like it's been here for like years. It's like we got right here, Urban One Honors presents Women Leading Change. We got,
and you see that's written by someone else. That byline isn't me, right?
That's Chandra Scott. And then we have some other things over here. I like the way this looks, and it does have that good flavor. We have some fitness information there. And this is really good. It's something that's needed because one of the things is that the pandemic has taught us is that we need to really have more positive messages inside of us, as well as so much negativity. And so this is really helping us. Oh, I put something here. Yep, there it is. Glow Up with the CEO. So really, you're focusing on people who are really making a difference. You're really sharing their voices.
Yeah.
And, I love that. And the entertainment, and then we have the actual news. It looks really, really good. It looks really good. And I see you have the Instagram as well over there. So, it's one of those things where I remember when Ariana Huffington, when she started her blog, right? Huffington Post was like, oh, okay, well, that's a cute little thing to do. That cute little thing grew up to be like the standard for content. Yeah. So that is, I'm just like seeing that happening for you for benworthy.com, where it's growing like a Huffington Post was, and that is the go-to where people go for inspiration, motivation, so that they can see themselves in the stories and also share their stories, share their stories. So that's a space that, I can see. Is there anything in the future that you see multimedia wise that's going to be happening?
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say, that I've recently celebrated, like I said, Ben Worthy just launched March 8th, but we were invited to cover the 52nd NAACP Image Awards, which I interviewed, last week, and then the live event is happening this Saturday. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big for me. Now, this is not my first time covering this award show. It's
but for Ben Worthy.
My own, right?
Yes.
I have experience with them, but to be able to do it and to do it within the first week of launching was just like incredible. Interviewing talent for TV One's Unsung and all the people that they're featuring, all that. I mean, all these amazing opportunities that we have coming down the pipeline is just confirmation that time and season, right? When you understand time and season, you won't envy anybody. You'll be patient with God in the way that he wants to bless you, in the time that he wants to bless you and create, that window of opportunity for you. And so for me, I recognize that this was the time, this was the season for me to do that. But to your question about what's in the future, Ben Worthy will be a national syndicated talk show.
Yeah.
This platform will just be complimentary to it, right? To support the show. With She's Valuable, But Does She Know It? I did a She's Valuable HBCU college tour every year up until last year. I plan to continue doing that because it's so important to plant the seeds in our young girls. And you think about being in college, that's when you are most susceptible to conforming to the ideals of society in this world, who they say you should be, how you should look, and all of those things. But if you know at that moment, in that moment of time, that I've been worthy. And I am worthy just how God created me, right? I don't have to try to be or do or say to fit in. I am already, right? So taking that to the next level, definitely getting back out there with that. And then an award show. So look out for a Ben Worthy award show. That's going to be coming down the pipeline. Yeah. And just summits and conferences and events for women, Black women and women of color, to further empower them and just to get them to show up in the world the way that God intended for us to do, to really step into their power and own it. Like I said, Ben Worthy is an attitude, it's a posture. You walk a little taller when you walk in a room, when you adopt that as an attitude. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we've got brewing.
Yes. I figure it would have to. I just figured it's going to grow into more of that multimedia and the show and all of that. So that is so needed and necessary. And it's like all the pieces that you have. So I'm going to ask you this last question.
Yeah.
So in terms of your career, you were thinking to be a pediatrician and you were always studying medicine and you were always doing that. How did that, because God doesn't waste anything. I don't ever believe that. So how does that fit in now in terms of your pivot now? Like, how did you use that, or how did God use that to where you are now?
My biggest goal when I was younger, I wanted to impact the quality of people's lives, right? And at the time, the most popular way to do that was through medicine, in my mind, in my opinion. And so my career in medicine, it gave me, because you think about, I didn't just work in research, but at the time I was preparing. Before research, I was prepared to go to PA school. I had gotten accepted to a PA school, turned it down, and that's physician assistant. But in order to start, you have to have a certain number of patient contact hours. And so I worked as a CNA, a nurse's assistant, certified nursing assistant at Duke Hospital. And so bedside manner, being able to communicate with people, understand, their needs in the moment, and being able to provide a solution or to honestly, and then you talk about storytelling, effectively communicate to the nurse, to the doctor, here's what this person is experiencing, right? And here's what they need, right? And so I think about bedside manner. So I went back and I told you about building rapport with people quickly. I have the ability to do that. You think about being on a red carpet, you've got 45 seconds or less to get your question answered, right? And so you've got to be able to connect with them really quickly, right? And so it taught me how to connect with people in a personal way, see them as human beings, and not even just connect with them personally, but emotionally as well. Because when you're able to connect with someone in an emotional way, they open up, right? They allow themselves to become a little bit more vulnerable with you. Yeah. And that's what I needed from my patients. And that's what I need from the talent.
Yes, in the talk shows. And
So
oh my God.
I would say that those were the skills that I was able to pick up from working in that industry that I'm now able to transfer into the media space.
I love that. I knew there was some kind of way where God would use that, but that you articulated that beautifully.
Thank you.
It is so, and you said when we first started, you said, I've always been curious.
Always.
That's a key for any journalist to always just be curious. And then the love for people and wanting to empower people and wanting to help people. So that is so good. So I want people to understand just a little bit about everybody who I interview on Get Out Here and Get Known podcast. They have a different way where they get into media or how they get media and that sort of thing. But it is, God doesn't waste anything. I don't care. You could be going to law school right now. If he's calling you to do something else, he's not going to waste all those years where you're doing law or whatever, doing medicine and research, whatever. He will not waste it. But it showed that whole thing, that instant connection. That is so true because, that's a good one. I'm going to remember that. That is something that I could tell people because I think about some, Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz is a doctor, but he had other gifts too. So that's why his show is so popular because of the way he does come across on television. So it makes medicine consumer friendly so that we can watch Dr. Oz or whatever, the doctor shows or that sort of thing. I think it was a Black lady that was on the doctors. I can't think of her name, but she was really good. But they're role models for people that may not even want to be a doctor, but because they see them on television, they see this Black lady on the doctors and say, I want to be like her or whatever. So that is really, really good. God doesn't waste anything. So I'm going to put this up here for people to go to benworthy.com. Do people just go to the site or do you collect email addresses when they go there?
Yeah. So go to the site. On the right-hand side of the site, you'll see there's a space for you to insert your email address. Subscribe to the site so that you are notified and updated for new posts and articles and just all the things that we'll be covering and coming up. You'll be in the know. So subscribe to the website. Follow Ben Worthy on Instagram and Twitter. So, the content is the same, but it goes a little bit deeper, honestly, sometimes on our Instagram page with the messages that we're sharing. The quotes that we're sharing, the way that we're inspiring women on social, and so I really want to build community there so that we can deepen the conversation and invite everyone to be a part of that. And so follow Ben Worthy on Instagram and Twitter at Ben Worthy Media. Okay, and people, if they would like to submit a story or be a contributor, they can contact you through benworthy.com as well. Dominique Clark, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so good. Well, thank you so much for joining Get Out There, Get Known podcast. And then you'll be able to read the show notes as well. So make sure you click all the links and all the information that'll be there as well. So thank you so much for joining us. And I will talk with you soon. See you on the Clubhouse streets, maybe. All right, bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where we help you shine like a superstar.